Deep inside the restless heart of Karachi lies a place the tourist maps never mention: Orangi Town, the largest slum in the world. A maze of makeshift homes and broken promises, where poverty isn't a chapter in the story, it is the story. Where crime, addiction, and homelessness don't shock, they survive. This isn't a vacation. It's a journey into the forgotten corners of our planet. At NVL Travel Documentary, we bring you the raw, the real, and the rarely seen. The facts about countries buried beneath the headlines. This is a country documentary with no filters, only truth. Hard, haunting, and human. Number 1. Orangi Town, a city born from necessity. Let's begin this journey with the birth of Orangi Town. To understand that, we have to travel back to the early 1970s. That was a decade of upheaval in Pakistan. Political unrest, economic disparities, and a growing gap between the rural heartland and the urban sprawl. Thousands of families, mainly poor farmers and laborers, were pushed out of villages by poverty and pulled into Karachi by hope, but the city wasn't ready for them. Unable to afford even the cheapest rental housing in central Karachi, these migrants did what millions across the global south have done. They settled on the city's fringes, claimed barren plots of land, and built their own homes, brick by brick, wall by wall. But here's the catch. There was no help from the government, no blueprints, no electricity, no plumbing, no roads. These were self-made communities, born out of necessity, not policy. And that's how Orangi Town grew. Rapidly, chaotically, almost organically, into a sprawling sea of concrete and tin roofs. What started as a few hundred families turned into a city within a city. Today, in 2025, Orangi is home to an estimated 600,000 people. But unofficial figures suggest that number may be much higher, possibly close to 1 million. Imagine a city the size of San Francisco, but without proper streets, sewers, or public infrastructure. Geographically, Orangi lies on the far western edge of Karachi, a metropolis that now houses over 22 million residents. Karachi itself is a paradox, a city of skyscrapers and slums, of tech startups and power outages, of immense wealth and unimaginable poverty. So why is Orangi often labeled the world's largest slum? It's not just about population, it's about how the people here live. Nearly 70% of families in Orangi earn less than the national poverty line. That's around $2 a day. Most homes don't have legal electricity connections. Access to clean drinking water is patchy at best. Sanitation systems are incomplete or non-existent, and many buildings, some stacked 3 or 4 stories high, are built without formal engineering, making them vulnerable to collapse during storms or earthquakes. But perhaps what's most striking isn't just the scale of deprivation, it's the resilience built into the chaos. Against all odds, Orangi stands, it breathes, it grows, it survives. And this is just the beginning of our journey. Stay with us, because behind every cracked wall and dusty alley, there's a story waiting to be told. Number 2. Diversity and daily life in Orangi. If you could zoom in on the dusty lanes of Orangi Town, beyond the crumbling rooftops and tangled power lines, what you'd find might surprise you. Because Orangi isn't just a slum, it's a living mosaic of cultures, languages, faiths, and everyday resilience. Let's start with the people. Orangi is what locals call a chawal of ethnicity, a kind of ethnic stew where no single flavor dominates, but each adds its own spice to the mix. The largest group here are the Pashtuns, originally from the rugged mountains of northwest Pakistan and Afghanistan. They're followed by communities of Urdu-speaking Muajirs, Sindhis, Punjabis, and smaller groups like the Balach, Bengalis, and Hazara. In total, over 30 different ethnic groups call Orangi home, and with them come a rainbow of languages, from Pashto and Urdu to Sindhi, Punjabi, and even fragments of Farsi and Bengali. Step into any tea stall and you'll hear conversations that switch languages mid-sentence, a kind of linguistic dance, improvised but perfectly synchronized. Of course, when cultures mix so closely, friction can happen. Disputes over land, resources, even politics sometimes erupt between groups. But more often, these communities find ways to live side by side. Not without tension, but with a certain rough harmony that only poverty seems to enforce. Religion, too, reflects this blend. The majority here follow Islam, both Sunni and Shia, but Orangi is also home to Christian and Hindu minorities. In a country often plagued by religious intolerance, this tiny pocket of coexistence stands as something rare. Perhaps it's the shared struggle that binds them. When your roof leaks and your tap runs dry, your neighbor's faith matters less than their willingness to help. And then there's daily life, raw, rhythmic, relentless. Women in Orangi are the unseen engines of survival. They cook over smoky stoves, fetch water from distant wells, care for children, and sometimes stitch clothes late into the night to earn a few extra rupees. Men hustle through the maze of streets, working as day laborers, mechanics, fruit vendors, or pushing rickshaws under the unforgiving Karachi sun. According to a 2024 survey by the Pakistan Bureau of Statistics, nearly 65% of Orangi's workforce is part of the informal economy, jobs with no contracts, no protections, and often no paydays. But life here isn't just about getting by, it's also about holding on to joy. Despite the hardships, Orangi lights up during religious and family celebrations. During Eid al-Fitr, the narrow lanes come alive with laughter, new clothes, and the aroma of sweet sheer kurma. Weddings, too, are full of color, even if the venue is just a rooftop or a cramped courtyard. Music blares, henna stains hands, and for one night, the weight of poverty lifts. Tradition here isn't just about the past, it's about survival. It's about dancing in the rain with bare feet, even when the drain is overflowing. It's about a borrowed radio playing qawwali late into the night, and children chasing kites through electric wires. This is Orangi's heart, beating strong, stitched together by stories, struggle, and a stubborn kind of beauty. And as we move forward, keep this in mind. Behind every closed door in this town, there's not just a family, there's a culture, a history, and a reason to hope. Number 3, surviving without systems, life and infrastructure. Let's take a walk down the streets of Orangi Town, but be careful where you step, because here, infrastructure isn't something planned on paper, it's something patched together out of survival. In Orangi, the word home doesn't come with blueprints or building permits. There are no architects, no engineers, and certainly no safety inspections. Most homes are built by hand, not out of luxury, but out of necessity. Walls are stacked with sun-baked bricks, held together by hope and cheap cement. Some rooftops are made of tin sheets, wooden planks, or even plastic tarps. During the monsoon season, these makeshift shelters often leak, collapse, or blow away. According to a housing report by the Karachi Urban Research Institute in early 2025, over 70% of homes in Orangi are classified as non-durable, meaning they wouldn't survive a major storm or earthquake. And yet, they stand. Because people here don't wait for permission to live, they just live. But it's not just the houses that tell the story, it's the roads between them. Picture this, narrow alleys just wide enough for 2 people to pass, often ending in dead ends. In dry seasons, it's dust. In rainy months, it's mud. Deep, sticky, foul-smelling mud. Children splash through it barefoot. Motorbikes stall in it. Delivery trucks avoid it altogether. And in some neighborhoods, emergency vehicles can't even get through. Then there's the issue of electricity, or more accurately, the lack of it. Power cuts are so frequent here, they don't even shock people anymore. Blackouts can last for hours, sometimes days, and even when the electricity flows, it's unreliable. Lights flicker, fans groan, and voltage surges can fry an entire home's appliances. Many families rely on stolen power lines or illegal hookups, which are not only dangerous, but also unstable. Water? That's a whole different battle. The majority of Orangi's residents don't have piped water. Instead, they buy water from private tankers or draw it from shallow wells. In a 2024 survey by WaterAid Pakistan, Nearly 60% of households reported spending over one-third of their monthly income just to access clean drinking water. And even then, what they get isn't always clean. Tap water, when it appears, often smells of sewage or rust, a dangerous mix that brings with it diarrhea, skin infections, and worse. Now let's talk toilets, or the lack thereof. For years, Orangi had no proper sewage system. Wastewater flowed freely through open drains, or worse, down the streets where children played. That began to change in the 1980s, when a group of citizens launched the now famous Orangi Pilot Project. Instead of waiting for the government, they rolled up their sleeves, pooled their money, and began building their own sanitation system. Fast forward to 2025, and thanks to this effort, over 90% of Orangi now has access to basic drainage, according to data from the United Nations Habitat Program. It's not perfect, but it's progress. Slow, stubborn, and community-led. And that, right there, is what makes Orangi different. It's not a place where people give up because systems failed them. It's a place where they build their own systems. With bricks, with buckets, with bare hands. Because waiting is not an option when survival is on the line. Number 4, waste, disease, and the fight for cleanliness. Let's talk about something that's everywhere in Orangi Town, but no one wants to talk about it: trash. In Orangi, garbage isn't just a nuisance. It's a constant, visible, smelly reminder of a system that never showed up. There is no official waste management service here. No garbage trucks, no city bins, no scheduled pickups. So people do what they've always done. They throw their trash wherever they can, into open lots, into the street corners, into the dried-out stream beds that cut through the town. And slowly, over time, those become mountains. Mountains made of plastic bags, food scraps, broken shoes, and burning rubber. And with that trash comes something worse: sickness. According to a 2025 report by the Karachi Environmental Health Board, over 75% of the solid waste in Orangi is left uncollected. That means it sits, it rots, and when the summer heat rises above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, it turns neighborhoods into breeding grounds for disease. You can smell it before you see it, a sour, acrid stench that clings to your clothes. But the trash on land is only half the story, because underneath all that, there's the water. Orangi is built on uneven terrain. That means when it rains, or when wastewater spills from homes and open drains, it doesn't stay put. It runs downhill. It flows through alleys, past front doors, and eventually ends up in the few natural waterways still trickling through the area. Except now, those aren't rivers. They're open sewers. The result? Widespread environmental contamination. The water becomes toxic. The air turns heavy. Children play just feet away from infected sludge. And so, it's no surprise that disease is part of everyday life in Orangi. According to Médecins Sans Frontières, also known as Doctors Without Borders, the 3 most common illnesses reported in Orangi Town in the past year were diarrhea, hepatitis A, and dengue fever, all preventable, all tied directly to poor sanitation. The spike is especially sharp during summer and monsoon seasons, when standing water and heat create a perfect storm for infection. But even here, in the middle of all this, something remarkable is happening. People are stepping up. In several neighborhoods, local residents, with no government help, have formed their own waste patrol teams. They dig makeshift drainage ditches. They organize weekly cleanup drives. They go door to door, reminding families not to dump garbage outside. It's not perfect, but it's progress. And, at the heart of this movement, women, mothers, sisters, grandmothers. They are teaching kids the basics of hygiene, how to wash hands, how to boil water, how to keep the kitchen clean even when the floor is dirt. They don't have gloves or protective gear, but they have knowledge, and they pass it on. One child, one home, one habit at a time. Because in Orangi, health isn't something handed down. It's something fought for, every single day. Number 5. From gangs to growth, Orangi's security struggle. If walls could talk in Orangi Town, some would whisper stories not of poverty, but of power. Power that once came not from City Hall or elected leaders, but from gangs. You see, for years, Orangi wasn't just struggling with poverty, it was at war with itself. The streets weren't just unpaved, they were patrolled. Not by police, but by armed groups who divided the town like a chessboard, each controlling their own square. Drug trafficking, extortion, armed robberies. These weren't headlines, they were daily life. Back in the early 2000s, Orangi ranked among the top 5 most crime-ridden neighborhoods in Karachi, according to the Pakistan Crime Monitoring Initiative. Shootouts were so common that parents timed school drop-offs between gang clashes. In some blocks, stepping outside after dark wasn't just risky, it was reckless. But where did this chaos come from? It didn't fall from the sky, it rose from the cracks. Cracks left behind by unemployment, illiteracy, and institutional neglect. In 2024, a national labor report revealed that over 58% of Orangi's youth between the ages of 15 and 24 were either jobless or working informally without stable income. Add to that a shortage of schools, vocational centers, or safe spaces for recreation, and the gangs became the only alternative offering structure, identity, and, for some, a way out of hunger. But change, like everything in Orangi, started from below, and slowly, stubbornly, began to rise. In recent years, the landscape has shifted. Thanks to a joint task force between Karachi police and local community leaders, several high-risk zones have seen increased patrols, intelligence sharing, and public trust-building efforts. The result? According to the Karachi Metropolitan Safety Index, violent crime in Orangi dropped by nearly 30% between 2022 and 2025. But numbers only tell part of the story. Walk through Orangi today and you'll still feel it, that cautious hum in the air. Residents say things have gotten better, but almost always follow with, "You still don't go out after dark." Safety here is relative, not absolute. That said, there is hope, and it looks like young people building instead of breaking. The truth is, Orangi hasn't fully escaped the grip of fear, but it's learning to loosen the grip. Step by step, voice by voice, brick by brick. Because in a place where even light is stolen, choosing to hope is the bravest act of all. Number 6. The Orangi Pilot Project. Change from the ground up. If there's one story that proves change can start with a single idea, it's the story of the Orangi Pilot Project. Back in the early 1980s, a Pakistani sociologist named Akhtar Hamid Khan stepped into Orangi Town with a bold belief. What if the people themselves held the key to transforming their community? Not governments, not donors, just everyday citizens, mothers, fathers, neighbors, leading their own revolution, one drain pipe at a time. And so, the Orangi Pilot Project, or OPP, was born. Unlike traditional aid projects that come in with blueprints and briefcases, OPP flipped the script. Instead of building things for the people, they taught people to build for themselves. Residents were trained, not just told, how to dig trenches, lay down sewage pipes, and build toilets. They learned how to budget, how to manage teams, and how to maintain what they built. Fast forward to 2025 and the results are staggering. Over 90% of households in Orangi now have access to functional underground sewage systems, built and maintained by the community itself. According to data from UN Habitat and the Pakistan Water Forum, this project has saved the government tens of millions of US dollars in infrastructure costs, all while providing cleaner, safer neighborhoods for hundreds of thousands of people. But the impact didn't stop at sanitation. Once people saw that they could make change, that spark ignited something bigger. The OPP expanded into education, helping establish over 200 community-run schools across Orangi. These schools don't just offer textbooks, they offer second chances, to children who never enrolled, to girls who had to drop out, and to adults who never learned to read. Then came healthcare. With government clinics overstretched or non-existent, OPP partnered with local health workers to launch micro-health centers, provide basic vaccinations, and run awareness campaigns on hygiene, nutrition, and maternal care. In just the last 3 years, cases of preventable diseases in pilot neighborhoods dropped by nearly 40%, according to the Karachi Public Health Observatory. But perhaps the greatest legacy of the Orangi Pilot Project isn't what's been built, it's what's been rebuilt. Mindsets. People here no longer see themselves as victims of neglect. They see themselves as agents of change, as builders, as leaders, as neighbors who fix, organize, and teach. Not because someone pays them to, but because this is their home. And no one fights for your home like you do. In a world where waiting for help can mean waiting forever, Orangi proved something extraordinary, that real power starts with people who refuse to wait. Number 7. Orangi through a traveler's eyes. Imagine stepping out of a rickshaw and into another world, one that smells like smoke, dust, and something faintly sour carried on the wind. That's the first thing that hits you in Orangi Town. For a first-time visitor, the sensory overload is real. The narrow alleys pulse with life, laundry flapping from rooftops, children dodging motorbikes, vendors shouting over the hum of a broken generator. And then, there's the sheer scale of it. Row after row of brick and concrete, stacked like a puzzle with no end, home to more than 600,000 people, possibly more, according to unofficial estimates from local NGOs in 2025. It's overwhelming, raw, chaotic. But then, something shifts. A woman calls out from her doorway, offering a glass of warm, sweet tea. A boy waves you over to show you his homemade kite. An elder invites you to sit and talk. No agenda, just curiosity. You came expecting hardship, and yes, there is plenty of that. But what you find is hospitality that refuses to be broken by poverty. Even with so little, the people of Orangi still have so much to give. You start seeing things differently. The crumbling walls begin to look like resilience. The cluttered homes feel like stories, loud, layered, and alive. Through the camera lens, or even just your own eyes, you notice the beauty tucked into everyday moments. Like a group of barefoot kids turning an alley into a cricket field, laughing louder than the traffic. Or a mother hunched over an old sewing machine, stitching school uniforms long into the night so her daughter can keep studying. One stitch at a time, a future is being made. And it's in these moments that you realize Orangi is not just surviving. It's rebuilding itself from within. Yes, it's poor, yes, it's crowded, but it's also a living, breathing community, a place of grit and grace, where hope is passed hand to hand, like chai on a busy street. You don't leave Orangi with just photos, you leave with questions. With a weight in your chest, not of pity, but of perspective. And if you're really paying attention, you leave changed. Because Orangi is not a place on the edge of the world. It is the world just seen from a different angle. As our journey through Orangi Town comes to an end, one thing becomes clear. This isn't just a forgotten corner of the world. It's a mirror, reflecting the resilience of people who live with little but give so much. Here, injustice is visible, poverty is loud, but so is kindness. So is strength. And so is the quiet determination to rise, no matter how many times the world looks away. Because what stays with you isn't the dust on the roads or the cracks in the walls. It's the laughter of children echoing through narrow alleys. It's the hands that build, the hearts that hope, and the spirit that refuses to be broken. Orangi is more than a place. It's a reminder that even in the harshest conditions, humanity finds a way to shine. If this story moved you, feel free to leave a comment, share this video, or subscribe to NVO Travel Documentary for more untold stories from places the world rarely sees. And above all, let's choose to see Orangi not with pity, but with empathy. Because when we look closer, we realize they're not that different from us.